chopped off heads, thick heads and blood.
To me, riffs are fucking timeless.
You've got generations of people going to see them.
It's our best album so far.
The fans have been asking for it. They've been asking for it for years.
I would listen to it over and over and over again today.
It's that music we play, man. You're either going to like it or not.
There are satanic bands. Some of them really aren't.
We're playing the craziest drunken debauchery show we've played probably ever.
He is not in condition to be doing a podcast.
You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Quarantined masses, welcome back to the Great Metal Debate Podcast. This is episode 65, April 2020. Still in bondage to the coronavirus concert moratorium. I'm Robert, aka Gomthog Metallicus, here once again talking music, metal, bands, concerts, and albums. And for this episode, I'm very pleased to be joined by a special co-host, Jared Compton, aka Drog from Winterhymn. Jared, how have you been?
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm just hanging out like everybody else.
And then we were talking before we got going about how your regular work is actually in show production. Missing out on concerts for me is just like my entertainment and something I love to do outside of my work. But for you, that is your work.
Right. Myself and Dave, the other guitarist in Winterhymn, because he's an audio engineer and I do lighting for concerts and the movies that come through Cincinnati. So, I mean, all that stuff's on hold. The last show I was doing, we were actually set up everything on the stage, and that's when DeWine came over, the Ohio governor, and said, "Hey, stop what you're doing," and we just packed everything up, and I've been working since. But we're doing okay. I mean, it stinks, but we're afloat.
Yeah, it stinks for a lot of people. Man, I was trying to think back the last time that I caught up with you in person. I think that was back in October at Mag Bar in Louisville. You guys were playing maybe with Ancalagon and Windfarer, is that right?
Yeah, we did play there with them. That probably was the last time. Ancalagon and Windfarer and us, and I want to say Cryptic Hymn from Louisville may have also played that.
But man, that was one hell of a show with Ancalagon, that black and death metal, and then Windfarer, who I think is really interesting because they definitely have the blackened element, but akin to you guys also have the folk flavor.
Well, yeah, because they've got Ben Karras on violin, and he's an amazing violinist, but he has a sort of different playing style, like, because him and our violinist Kate have talked a lot, and he has a like whole effects board that he runs stuff through, and so like a lot of the time it's like he's not even playing stuff that sounds like a violin. He does like a lot of rhythm sections that almost sounds like metal guitar underneath it, and solos, and so that's interesting. And yeah, he's super talented.
I was blown away by those guys, and that album, I hadn't heard it before, but I bought it that night. Alma, man, it's just killer material, and really interesting what he's able to do.
I want to steal all of his ideas. I just want to be in Windfarer. I want to drop everything I'm doing and be in Windfarer. Yeah, they're very, very good and super nice guys, and that's definitely a band that I would like to see continue to gain notoriety and everything, because it's different. Like, it's, even outside of like folk metal and black metal, I think they've got something unique.
Definitely, yeah, they are unique, and that's one thing I like about you guys, Winterhymn. I feel like you guys are able to play with bands from a wide variety of styles, and it works. Like, I don't feel like there's a disconnect when you guys hop on and off stage with the other bands. You guys create a good mix with those other bands and styles.
I think we usually do. I hope so. Anyway, we've pretty much always done that, but it's honestly been out of necessity a lot of the time, because there's not, and not an abundance of like folk or pagan metal bands, but
be honest, Jared, there's none. Like, I remember the day I first learned about you guys, I was like, holy fuck, there's a pagan metal band in northern Kentucky? What the hell?
Yeah, so there's not a lot. But, I mean, honestly, that's, especially in the beginning, I think that helped us, like, the novelty aspect of it. And, like, you know, you go to any show in the area, and then, like, we're definitely going to be the one that's like that. But, I mean, beyond that, it's always been fun to see how that plays out, because we might play with a black metal band somewhere in the region, or we might play with a power metal band, and we're not like totally out of place with either, because it's like, okay, if you dropped like the keyboards and the violin, we might mesh with this one or this or that. And it's neat. But in the beginning, it was definitely nice because, you know, we had that market cornered, you know, every Dungeons and Dragons nerd and every folk metal fan. They were like, have you heard of Winterhymn? And of course you have, because it's the only band around here that does this.
Well, man, we're going to take our first break and play the first song of the episode. And then when we come back for the break, I want to ask you a question that I've long pondered about bands in the pagan and folk metal genre. But first, we have a track from Adavant. This is Gallows Pass.
This
Arizona epic folk metal clan Adavant with the track Gallows Past off their most recent independent release, The Unyielding, from 2018. You know, I was thinking the other day, I don't get a chance to see a lot of pagan and folk-flavored metal bands, even though I really enjoy that style. I did get to see Ensiferum back in November. They were touring throughout the U.S. They came through Lexington, Kentucky. Got to see them with Calma. Really enjoyed that show. But something I was thinking about as I was watching them, looking up on stage, the live band was composed of a couple of guitarists, bassist, drummer. All the folk sound was piped in. Now, I'm a fan of symphonic metal bands like Nightwish and Xandria, Delane, and if you're a band like that, you can't have a full symphony with you live. There's just no model, no matter how successful you are, where you can do that. So I get those bands having it all piped in. But I do wonder, if you claim to be a band that has some sort of folk flavor to it, can you pull that off effectively live without having some sort of folk instrumentation live? I know you guys have that, but I'm curious what your thoughts are about that.
I would definitely say, my opinion would be, you can pull it off. I think Ensiferum pulls it off. I think, and a lot of bands that aren't even in the folk sort of genre. One of the first things that comes to mind for me is Carrick Ongren. If you're familiar with them, yes. They're a Dutch band. They because they're, I wouldn't call them, not symphonic metal in the same way as like Nightwish or something, but sure. They've got that symphonic element, and there's a whole lot going on. And yeah, they have their keyboard player. It's not just strictly backing tracks, but I think it's actually a combination of backing tracks and the stuff he does on keyboard. And I think that, I always enjoy, like with them, I enjoy that they've got their keyboard player who composes that stuff anyway. Like, it's fun to see someone up there actively taking some sort of part in all that, especially when it's a big part of your music. But I think it's always better when you can see someone performing some aspect of that. Not everyone can do that, and if you've got the drive to make that kind of music and add those things in, you might not have those resources. Like, we're totally lucky that we found a violinist who actually gave a shit about doing this type of music. You know what I mean? Right. Not just finding someone who plays these instruments, but also who wants to be in that type of band, who you get along with and mesh with and everything. So, that was purely the luck of the draw.
And I would say, man, she's such a key component. I don't think you all could pull it off without having her live. And I think it would sound odd. It would be odd for me as a fan of your band to see you all play and just have that piped in, Oh,
yeah. There's been a couple of times over, the history of the band where, like, I don't remember where we went. There was at least one time we went somewhere and some piece of Jenny's keyboard had been lost. Like, she didn't have the cable that she usually had, or like she had it there, but then it was like a dark room or something, and we were kind of scrambling because we were like, fuck, like, it's we're not going to do this without this section of the music. Yeah, like losing one of the guitars or the bass, you don't want to lose any of that, but it's like, if we don't have these melodies, then we definitely like we might as well just drive home, because it's integral. I think if they ever called it quits or something, I don't think we'd keep going without them. We've had different drummers and different bass players and different guitarists and stuff, but that's sort of a different ball game too.
And I get it, like, for not everybody can do what Helvete does, like drag along 20 musicians to have on stage. But there's part of me that just feels like the experience of the music, you need some of that live flavor there, and that you lose out in a way that, again, comparing it to symphonic metal, you expect you're not going to have the live orchestra there. You know, you're not going to see that. So that's kind of
right.
But for pagan folk flair, I don't know, to me, part of the magic is to see the person playing that instrument that you're not used to seeing at the metal show.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that it's better to see that. Like, if you've ever been to a show where they had a drum machine instead of a drummer, like, I don't care how good the band is, I don't care. Like, that especially, like, having different things and backing tracks and stuff like that, but not having a drummer. But,
yeah, I would walk out. No,
yeah.
I would not, no, that would no go there.
Right. Yeah, no, I would agree. I think it's definitely better to see that performed. We're not going to share our violinist, though. So. Yeah,
you got a good one there, man. So,
right.
Well, we've got another track to play, another song of molten pagan metal. This is Kesmiani Troll by Velesar. Welcome back. You've just heard Slavic Pagan's Velesar performing Kosmiani Troll from their first full-length release, Viswalda.
I had never heard of that band. I really liked that track, especially some of the guitar melodies, like whatever bridge it was in there had like a real Iron Maiden sort of feel. Had some good guitar work in it.
Well, man, I'm curious again as somebody who's a local musician involved in show prep, kind of like, what do you think the scene's going to be like toward the end of the year? Are you optimistic about it? Do you think that bands are going to do more online stuff? Like, how are you reading the tea leaves?
I really don't know. I was talking to my fiance like yesterday, I think, and because we both miss going to shows, and one of the things that I've been trying to wrap my head around is, at some point, someone, whether it's a governor or whether it's Trump, like someone's going to give the go-ahead, like, hey, this has been lifted, you can go back out. And I'm thinking, like if shows do happen, what will the turnout actually be like? Will people put on shows, not see it as a viable enough option for making money? You know what I mean? That's my long-winded way of saying I have no idea. I don't know how that's going to pan out.
It's going to look different, man. I mean, I can't even imagine going to a metal show where maybe a third of the people are wearing masks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would just seem so odd. Because to me, one of the beauties of going to the metal show is, even if I'm going on my own, not with a buddy, I feel like there's a brother and sisterhood of metal fans there. And even if I don't know anybody, like, I share something with them. And, like, there have been so many shows I've been to, like, I end up hugging total strangers in the crowd just because we're both so excited about, what we're participating in. And I don't know. I just wonder if that feeling is ever going to come back.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I think eventually, I think it's a question of how long. I just can't picture going to a show right now and not being able to hug your friends and give people claps on the back and everything. But God, like, I don't know, like sitting in a corner and trying to calculate if you've got 6 feet distance between everyone around you, like, some guy comes through and bumps into you and sloshes beer, or turns around and screams right in your face and you feel a little flecks of saliva, and like, I don't know how many people are going to go and put themselves in an environment like that where you don't have personal space. Yeah, I don't know. I really haven't watched a lot of the live concerts, which makes me feel like a shithead. There's one that's on Sunday by a English band called Wolfensman. He's like an acoustic soloist guy, but he does, it's like battery sounding stuff.
Right, right.
But yeah, he's doing something on Sunday, and I put a reminder in my phone. I was like, oh, I need to watch that one, because yeah, a lot of people are doing that, and it's an awesome idea. You were asking, do you think it'll continue with that? I mean, like, I would love to get back to an actual live show setting, but that's cool that some people are able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I think as we're recording this, Insomnium and Omnium Gatherum, who were supposed to come through on a tour of North America that got canceled, they're doing an online concert. I'm curious to see what the response to that is, and I don't know, it seems odd to me. I'm not sure how a band can make money off that. That seems difficult.
I don't know if they're making money off that, like off the streaming itself. Like, I don't know if they're making money off that, but then if they're able to plug in that, like, hey, you like the show, instead of your merch table being in the back, it's like, here's a link down here, and
right,
we've got stuff on sale or something. I have bought a few merch items because different bands have been like, hey, we were going to go on tour, and this is some of the merch we were going to be selling on that tour, so now it's a piece of history. Here's a t-shirt with a bunch of dates on it that never happened, and it's weird.
It is weird, and I've seen a lot of those, and on the one hand, you're thinking, man, this is a time where we need to support bands more than ever. I think people are trying to be as generous as they can, but this isn't the time necessarily where it may be wise to be generous.
Yeah, you help out as much as you can, and that's, yeah, like when I say I've bought a couple of merch items, it's like there was some stuff that was put on sale, but a lot of people aren't in a situation where you can comfortably just drop $50 on non-essential items. Everyone is hurting. Like, I'm out of a job. People are being laid off and stuff like that, and it's weird.
It is. It makes you question what is and isn't essential. In my opinion, something that's essential are Winterhymn's 2 full-length albums, Songs for the Slain from 2011 and Blood and Shadow from 2016. I love both these albums, but there's one track that I've seen you all play live that I just love because it's a burner. This is Blood Burner by Winterhymn. U.S. pagan metalers Winterhymn with Blood Burner off their 2016 album Blood and Shadow.
Oh, just a lot of blood. You got to have it.
Jared, during this downtime, before we wrap up, tell me a little bit about some of the albums or bands you've been listening to. I'll go first. I have been listening to a new album by the Finnish melodic death metal band Torchia. It's called The Coven. Man, it is awesome. If you're a fan of Arch Enemy or Insomnium or Dark Tranquillity, you will love Torchia. You want to check them out. I've also been listening to a couple of older albums. Beast in Black, that's another Finnish band, melodic power metal there. Their 2017 album Berserker. And then stateside, friends of the podcast, Helion Prime, their debut album from 2016, Helion Prime. And those guys are working on a new album with their new front person, Metal Mary Zimmer, formerly of White Empress.
Well, I've been, we've been doing a lot of puzzles during this time. So we've just been putting on Spotify a lot, and my fiance, she's a huge Moonsorrow fan. I've actually only dabbled in Moonsorrow before, so we've been listening to some of that, and I'm enjoying it. And I also, we've got I've been going through cleaning some records, and I remembered I had some Panopticon records, another real interesting band, sort of in the folk metal spectrum, but been listening to a lot of that. And Panopticon is, we were talking before about bands having like merch sales, and they actually had one of their albums or splits. They've got a whole bunch of stuff online, and one of them is going toward like friends and bands that, touring bands where that's their sole income, and he's not actually taking any money from that himself. So, and he was going to be playing a show in Louisville that would have been like, I think last weekend or something, that we had tickets to.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that. Yeah.
And it was a benefit for Bernheim Forest. My fiance and I, we were going to go to the show and stay down there, and I think the next day we were going to go explore there and see the troll statues and stuff. But so he's got T-shirts and things like that are like specific to that show, and all the proceeds go towards the legal defense for that place. So Panopticon will be a good one for if people do have some expendable income that they want to spend on band merch. There's some good causes there.
Well, Jared, we're going to wrap it up now. Appreciate you taking the time to be on the debate, man, and looking forward to catching up with you guys sometime soon when the world opens up back for shows.
Awesome. Yep. Likewise. A lot of people will be hanging out when this is all done. I'll travel to a show if I need to. I'll be more likely to travel and make the round.
We'll be back again soon with another Metal Debate episode. Until then, be sure to check out all our content, debate podcasts, artist interviews, album reviews, and more by listening to The Great Metal Debate on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. And take part in the discussion by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find us by using the keywords Metal Debate. Until our next podcast, sell your soul for metal and defend it until your dying day.